Yeah, so some of the challenges or hurdles I'm seeing, customers facing are very often related to complexity. When we talk about security, very often it's the security is not the problem, it's the securing a solution that is the problem because of its complexity, because of all its moving parts, because of the hybrid nature of IoT solutions, where you have part of your solution that is running at the edge, somewhere that is physically accessible by eventually someone who has bad intention, and running on sometimes legacy software that you
Yeah.
might not be able to update or change or modify. And so complexity to me is definitely the big hurdle, the big problem that customers are facing. Trying to apply concepts from the world of IT or cloud down to the edge, down to the IoT infrastructure is not working like systematically and seamlessly. Another aspect which is really interesting, that people are starting to face is when they want to deploy AI at the edge, they rapidly realize that they need to be able to update these models. And these models are not just a few bytes, right? They are the equivalent of a firmware update, something that is not trivial to deploy over the air. We know firmware updates or device updates on our phones, on devices that we're used to. And that's already something that is not instant. Now imagine on a tinier device that has a slower bandwidth, sometimes a network solution that is not, large bandwidths like Wi-Fi or something. It could be, very few bits per second versus, a huge amount of data you can transfer to a phone device. You now are in a position where you need to update software on these kind of devices. And that's not easy to do over the year. And that's something that lots of people are in a right way trying to tackle before even considering deploying AI at the edge. They kind of know that it's going to work and solve problems. They kind of know that it will enable new scenarios, but they also kind of know that they will need to have this update capability. And so they're looking at that problem first. And that's something that lots of companies are hitting as a wall right now, because there are many solutions out there to do over-the-air update of different kind of devices, but there's so many different types of devices and real-time OSs or no OSs at all that it's kind of hard to have one pane of glass that allows you to manage and deploy updates to a fleet of IoT devices seamlessly. There's none actually. You need to compose your own solution with different third parties and DIY, and that's a really hard part that customers are facing. It does relate to security. Another big one, and I'm starting to look more forward in the future, is encryption. You want to secure your data transfers. It's not just about securing data at rest; it's also about securing data moving.
Yeah.
And encryption is something that these devices are not really equipped for. They don't have the chips that allows them to encrypt, 256 bits keys and things like that. We're starting to see more and more of that. We're starting to see this kind of encryption modules that are coming to the embedded devices. But we're also seeing quantum computing arriving real fast, and people are starting to freak out because once we are in that quantum computing era, these encryptions will be mute, will be useless because they will be cracked easily by quantum computing, machines. And so you're just thinking about it from the perspective of, industrial espionage or things like that. You want to make sure your data is secured, your IP is secure, your business is secure. But is the future secure? And so you need to think about how you're doing things today to be ready for tomorrow. And that's more true for security than for anything else. We know that new threats are coming. We know that what they are. We don't exactly know yet how we're going to solve that problem for the realm of IoT and make sure that the encryption keys resist this kind of compute and that the data is safe.